Oh, okay, so the audience we think will probably most appreciate this, or the sort of people we had in mind for this are artists, weebs, of course, computer geeks. If you like AI stuff, this will probably be interesting. And yeah, that's sort of the those are sort of the demographics we're trying to cater to here. If you're one of these, we hope you really like it. If you're not, we hope you like it anyway. And then yeah, this presentation, we use pretty much exclusively free and open source software, meaning everyone here can go home today and play with every tool you're gonna see. So anything we can do, you can do. Everything is available with tutorials and stuff at our GitHub. There's the link. You can take a picture if you want, or yeah, however you want to find it. Also that QR code, I think, that forum links it somewhere.
All right, so let's get into some backstory. Let's get into some lore. Basically, a year ago, we were at Anime Week in Atlanta. We went here, we came here, and we were very inspired. We came into this exact same room, and we saw a presentation. It was basically Attack on Titan, the musical. And we looked at everyone in that presentation. We thought, wow, they're cool, they're smart, they're handsome. We wanted to be that too. We were jealous. And therefore, that's why we came here today. We wanted to show how we could be those things as well, but of course we don't do music. We need to stick to what we know. So in that case, we know machine learning, we know artificial intelligence. So today, we're going to convince you of these 3 points using style transfer, image coloring with manga, and art generation. So yeah, the first person to present today shall be my boy Max Shu. So please go ahead, click the button, if you will.
All right, so the first topic we'll be kind of going over is style transfer. In a very general sense, what style transfer is, just from a machine learning perspective, is recomposing the content of an image in the style of another. So it's a pretty famous paradigm within machine learning where you just, for example, you have these pictures of these cats, and then you try to recompose it in the style of Starry Night, The Scream, and this random thing, just remaking the image so that it looks like it was painted by their respective artists. But why do we care about it in this convention? So you can do it in the very classical, take an image of a person, and then you can redraw yourself as an anime girl. And to do that, and then so here on the slides, we just have a few examples of them, and then we'll be going through how to do it later. In terms of how it works from a technical perspective, usually the way machine learning works is that you have some inputs and you have some targets, and you try to just train the machine learning model to learn how to create the targets from the inputs. But that's not really possible in this domain because it's very rare for you to have a picture of a cat and then a picture of a cat drawn by Van Gogh. So the way that it's done, so there's a bunch of complicated stuff here, but in a nutshell, you can use machine learning models to extract content and style features, and then rather than trying to explicitly change the input into a target, you try to minimize this content loss and the style loss. Once again, here's some other complicated architecture, but we can kind of gloss over it, go over it very quickly. But essentially, you have this complicated machine learning model, and then you try to minimize content loss, style loss, and this other thing called total variation loss. So enough of the boring stuff. We can go through the demo section of this presentation where we can actually try to animify some images. And then just as a reminder, all our code is publicly available, and you can run it yourself if you're interested. And basically, for the technical detail, it's hosted on Google Colab, and then so you can just run it from your Google Drive, basically. So this is the code base that you guys can work with. But really, all you need to do is press run, and then run, and then run. So we have these six different pictures of Billie Eilish, Bill Gates, Korean man, IU, Tony Stark, and Will Smith. Who wants to see what? Someone shout out a name.
Okay, Korean man.
Korean man. Yeah.
Of course, it's my favorite.
Korean man.
Uh-oh.
I spelled his name wrong.
Syntax error.
His name is Jim.
So who thinks he looks more handsome like this?
Middle.
And then we can do Bill Gates. I heard Bill Gates as well.
Bill is a PNG.
Yeah, Bill is a PNG though. I think Bill looks cuter. But yeah, let's see. And then IU looks the best though. So once again, all our code is available online. So if you're interested in just running this and trying it out, it's very easy and doable to do. And then I know we had did we get anything in the Google form, like any pictures though? Oh, okay. Let's see. All right, no one look at my drive. I don't know if I can even connect to the internet, but if I can't, then yeah.
So if you can't, we'll come back to you.
You got a hotspot?
I am actually hotspotted.
Yeah, internet's a terrible thing.
Yeah. But I was gonna try running your guys' images here, but I can't connect to Drive right now. But yeah, so I guess we can move on to the second part of the
Yep,
presentation.
go ahead.
Let's see. Start from current slide. And then so if you just want to run stuff like just using online tools, there's just Animify yourself. There's these classical websites where you can just like take a selfie of yourself and then turn yourself into an anime girl.
All right, so now we're going to go to image, color, and manga and art. So, what?
We need the link.
You need the links. You're actually committed. I like it. It's not a fake slide. The slide has you. This warms my heart. All right. Next one. All right, we're going to go to image, color, and manga and art. So click it again. Now, the thing is that you guys, you know, this concept is actually very simple. You take the black and white image, you take the image, put it through the model, and then you get a colored version. But the thing is, I know what you guys are thinking. I can look in your eyes and understand. You think this is boring. You know, you can get your colored stuff, you know, with people and do your crayons and things, and you get a colored image out. You're like, why is this cool, Kieran? That's my name, by the way. So why is it cool? Now, in order for you to understand why it's cool, you need to understand this from an emotional sense. I want you to be emotionally invested in this task. So click the next slide. That's my waifu. Mary from Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash, okay? She is a gem, all right? I love how she overcomes her struggles at the beginning with social anxiety and things like that in order to become a queen. But the problem is, click the slide, I'm sad, all right? The problem is I'm sad. Despite my exuberance, despite my youthful energy, I'm sad. And the reason I'm sad is that I do not know the color of her eyes. Click it again. I don't know the color of her hair. How can she be my waifu if I don't know any of those two things? And here's a pickup line I cannot use. I didn't know I liked brown eyes until I saw yours. If someone wants to use this later, please do. It's a good pickup line. Any colored eyes, I couldn't use it on her simply because I don't know what the color is. So this topic has a very emotional investment within myself. And I want to overcome it. Now, I want to believe that no one's out to get me, that this is something that no one has like sort of imprinted upon me or something like that. So click the next slide. What am I talking about? I firmly believe, and I don't want to believe it, that manga artists don't care about me. So why isn't the manga colored? I don't know. What is the color of my wife's hair? I don't know. How soft is it? I mean, that's a different problem, but you know, that's not something I can overcome too easily. And I know each and every one of you know what I'm talking about. Like, some of you, that's Aqua. Did anyone know? I mean, maybe you could assume her hair was blue, but come on. You didn't know who that girl's hair. It's purple. That one right there in the top right corner. That girl's hair, it's red and yellow. That girl over there, I don't know, I forgot. I think it's purple too. You don't get to know the color of anything until the anime comes out a year and a half later. So we need to overcome this process, this bottleneck in establishing a personal relationship with the characters that we love. All right, click the slide. It can't be true. Manga artists do care about me. Of course, that's not true. They don't. I have no say in the manga industry. But the reality is that if we look at the typical workload of a manga artist, which will show up on the next slide, this is an article that came out in 2019, and basically it showed a manga artist describing his 126-hour work week. And the reality is that, 126 hours is a lot, but I'm a PhD student. I really don't care. So at the end of the day, if he just added 4 more hours of work, it would just be 130, and he would still get, non-negligible amount of sleep. If you click the next slide, it didn't show up. You know what this is, solo leveling. Korean manhwas, the Koreans do it better. It's colored, and you know exactly what the colors are for every single person. So, yeah, it's possible. At the end of the day, I don't have the ability to overcome the manga industry, so I need to use artificial intelligence. I have to use machine learning in order to establish this emotional relationship. Click the next slide. So what's the solution? Basically, there is this architecture that I believe was made by, or at least commissioned by people at the Smithsonian. And basically, what they wanted to do is take images from the past, take images from, history, and sort of turn them into colored versions, and higher resolution versions as well. And the project is called Deoldify, but of course you can use this for any image coloring technique at all. And so the original intent was to add color to historical records. But, and I could describe to you how this works, but the reality is it's not too different from what Max and Brighton is going to tell you. So instead, I want to point out a different sort of perspective on this machine learning task, so that you sort of get a new bent on machine learning, but it's also the image coloring technique as well. So click the next slide. So there's 2 things, the in distribution and the out of distribution, okay? The birds and the bees. Click the slide. So in order to understand this, I want to give you an analogy that you'll understand. So let's imagine you're in some type of relationship, like friendship or love or something like that, and you're at epic 0 of this relationship. So this relationship model, sort of says how your relationship's going to go through some quantitative measurement. So you input gifts, you input food and activities, and at the beginning of your relationship, you don't know what you're doing. You give gifts of sticks, you give food, chicken nuggets, and your activity is, peeling garlic in Piedmont Park in order to satiate your needs. So you go into this relationship model, and the output Yellen level of the argument of the relationship is 75 decibels. All right, so this is what I'm quantifying as good relationship. Lower decibels of Yellen is better, I think. If you click the next slide, then after 11 epochs, or some more time in the relationship, the gifts get better, their rings, the food gets better. I just realized what I did. That's not food, that's love, okay? It's a child. I didn't mean for that. Activities are private islands, okay? Goes in the relationship model. Look, the output Yellen level went down. The relationship model is overfit to the conditions and have reduced the output decibel levels. Thus, you have a better relationship, as you can see by that picture of that couple. All right, click. All right, but you have no ability to generalize to the out of distribution. At some point, the hard questions are going to come up. Why don't you hold my hand in public? Why does the body pillow get to bed? Why is the picture of your dad's fishing buddy in front of mine? And then, because you have no generalization to these situations, you give a random question like 7 Years in Tibet with that hot guy Brad Pitt, and you get an output Yellen level of 145 decibels, thus showing the point on the next slide. The model is untrained for these situations and cannot perform well, leading to high loss and poor performance. Click the slide! So how does this apply to image coloring? If you have many different pictures, many different sort of styles, one model is going to be confused when you finally give a picture in a different style that it has not seen before, like going from manga to sketches. You can even see on the left-hand side, that's a very light sketch. There are models that can color it, but the reality is one model by itself probably cannot do all of it. So the solution is I have a variety of models that are experts at different scenarios, and if you sort of generalize that back to the relationship advice I was given, you could constantly be someone else all the time. Because of the internet issues, I cannot show you this. That's why my part was more on the, humorous side, in order to distract you from the fact that I couldn't get the color into work. But Brighton will make up for that with his diffusion models.
Right. You have some URLs to the models?
Yes. These are the URLs.
Very good.
Take pictures. We'll stall for like a couple seconds.
Yeah.
And are these all like Python notebooks or?
Some of them are. Some of them are convenient. Some of them aren't.
We'll put the presentation online on our GitHub as well. If you just, I'm pretty sure if you just Google "can't spell anime without AI" and just
Yeah.
put GitHub behind it, you'll probably find our repo. So.
It doesn't show up if you use the username.
Really?
KKOKILP, that's me, by the way.
Is the repo public?
You're gonna follow me on GitHub?
Yeah.
Oh, I should release my paper repository. You like contrastive learning? All right, so now we're getting to the part that I think is the most interesting.
What's up, everyone? I'm here. I'm Brighton. I'm here to tell you. So, hopefully, Max convinced you that we're cool. Kieran convinced you that we're smart. And I'm here to convince you that we're handsome. So, I don't know how I'm going to do about that, but I am showing a lot of skin. So, we're going to be talking about art generation, sort of embodied by the latest JoJo stand, completely AI generated. Next slide. So, character generation is sort of like the simplest, I guess, the earliest sort of studied problem of generating art completely by computer. Here we have a couple images. If you let it just be random, you can get people like the one on the left, or you can specify a couple of like key attributes like pink eyes and blue hair, and you'll get that. Long hair, glasses, no smile. Okay, you'll get that. And these were all generated with something called a StyleGAN. That's technology that came out in 2019 and was sort of updated in 2020. So these are the kind of results you can imagine. As you can see, they're pretty good, right? But it's gotten a lot better in the past 3 years. Crazy, right? So yeah, StyleGAN was first made available in February 2019. It came out of NVIDIA. StyleGAN 2 was also made available a year later, and it had a lot of improvements to the basic idea. So StyleGAN 2 is actually what all the images you've seen here were made with. I didn't use StyleGAN 1 at all. And these are what you kind of expect. You can see there's like a couple things that are a little bit off. Some of the shading is inconsistent. Some of the lines are a little bit weird. Like I think in the sort of second from the right, I feel like the eyes are a little bit asymmetrical. The one all the way to the right, like the hair doesn't quite fit the head. But they're very close, right? They're very believable at a glance. If you look hard, you can probably notice some things that, a human probably didn't really draw that. But at first glance, they look very good. So the way that these images were made, like sort of the key principle for how this technology works is that we have a discriminator and a generator, or like a detective and a forger, right? So there's one like AI that's trying to learn how to like fake art. It's trying to make art that looks real. And there's another AI that's trying to learn how to tell the difference between fake art and real art, right? And the way you sort of, the information you inject into the system to like train it what is art and what isn't art is you take real pictures of art, right? So you tell this discriminator, this detective, you show him like, hey, here's the Mona Lisa. You don't tell him it's the Mona Lisa, but you show like, here's a picture, and then here's another picture, right? And it sort of has to tell, okay, which of these pictures like are real art and which ones aren't real art. And every time that it says, hey, that wasn't real art, and it was correct, that means the generator is doing poorly, right? Right now, you look at that, that's not real art, like that's messy, right? So, but the thing is, the discriminator will then tell the generator, hey, here's how I knew it wasn't real art. You did this wrong, you did this wrong. It fixes itself, and it does that again and again and again until it makes good art. Yeah, it's kind of hard to train in practice, but yeah, that's the kind of key principle of how this works. So the sort of key issues with like GANs and VAEs, so VAEs are a similar technology to GANs, is that there's like a limited ability to specify the attribute. So if I wanted pink hair, if I wanted glasses, the sort of way you do that is a little clunky. It works, but it's pretty limited. We would love it if we could like just write down write some text and be like, I want a dude, and he's got to have red hair, and he's got to be tall, and he's got to be hot, and he has to have a freckle beneath his left eye. And like for it to just understand what that meant, right? Sort of a natural language understanding of these models. GANs were never cut out for that, or at least never shown to be cut out for that. That was too hard of a task for them. But a recent development in the field called diffusion models have actually been very promising. They work very well. You may have seen stuff from like DALL-E or Stable Diffusion or Imagen or all these sort of hot things right now that generate art. You give it any prompt and it can make whatever. That's what we're talking about. Those are diffusion models. And they work so well at this sort of art generation task that you can really just use natural human language So far, it's like just English, but I'm sure other languages have some degree of stuff. But like you can just describe it using English words, and it'll make pretty good art.
Actually, Midjourney does Japanese pretty.
Midjourney does Japanese. Okay, I did not know that. So there you go. I mean, as time goes on, more languages will get supported. Generally, this is bleeding edge of technology. English is typically first, but yeah, over time things get adapted. It's great. So to give you sort of a point of reference as to how new this technology is, Stable Diffusion was first made. So Stable Diffusion is like the free open source version. There's a lot of like DALL-E and stuff like that are behind paywalls and closed doors and stuff like that for researchers only. But the one that any one of you can take home and use today is Stable Diffusion. It was first made available on the 22nd of August, 2022. So you all can probably remember what you were doing that day. Maybe if you check your calendar. I don't know. It's very recent is the point. Waifu Diffusion, specifically for the AnimeCon, which is a set of weights that sort of generate anime-style art. Those were made, the version 1.3 weights were made available on the 6th of October, so within this month. So, if this con had been a month earlier, we still would have done similar stuff, but like it wouldn't be as good. This is very new technology, very bleeding. If you're an artist, I would play with it. It's fun. So you can see here, I gave very simple descriptions. The ones there are just sort of like a token that you have to use. Don't worry about it. It just means girl or boy. And so I said like one girl, blue hair, I want a green cap, long hair, pink eyes, and that's what it gives me. And then one boy, I want silver hair, red eyes, and earrings, and that's what it gives me. Pretty good, right? So the technical details. Here's sort of how diffusion models work at the high level. It kind of undoes diffusion. And so what is diffusion? Diffusion is like when you light a match or like you put out a candle or something and there's smoke, right? The smoke starts out and concentrated in a little plume, and then over time it diffuses into the whole room where there's smoke everywhere, so much, but it's so little you don't even notice it, right? The idea is kind of the same thing with images. When you diffuse an image, you're just like blurring it. You're taking the pixels and sort of letting them diffuse into the image. The key idea behind a diffusion model, it's really called a reverse diffusion model, but that's an extra word, we don't like that, is that it takes a blurred image, which can just be random noise, and then slowly but surely undoes that noise in a sort of logical way, guided by your text prompt or whatever information you give it. So the key idea is like every image to within, whatever color is the dominant color of the image looks pretty much the same if you blur it enough, right? If I blur any image, it'll just give me a blurred color blob. So you begin with random noise, and then you progressively de-blur it, and you use your prompts to sort of guide, hey, this is like a random blur, but I know it's supposed to be like ice, so I guess I'm going to make it like a cube, because I know ice is like a cube. Like it sort of uses that information to guide the reverse diffusion. So just looking at this blurred image, what do you think it is? Like, what would you say that is? Reg? Ray Nami. Okay, so I'm going to say, hey, Stable Diffusion, pretend this is an orb. Make it an orb, and here's what it does. It makes an orb. 2 orbs, in fact. But if I say, hey, Stable Diffusion, this is actually REM from ReZero. It makes REM. That's not exactly what happened, but that's like the idea, right? Anyway, these are some pictures I generated. So we've got a girl with a mint ice cream cone. As you can see, it made an ice cream cone, it made it green, and put some mint leaves in there. I wouldn't call that mint ice cream, but we got a JoJo stand doing Kung Fu. This is a 2-person stand. We got a witch in black and white. I think that one turned out very well. We got a silhouette of a girl stealing a TV. She's doing that. A man on a whale in the sky. Asked and answered. Greek gods in the clouds, you see it, and then a large fire monster. I think this one turned out very Attack on Titan-esque. But yeah, these are, you say what you want, you roll the dice a few times, you generally get a pretty good one. Anyway, so you guys submitted some requests, and I have them here. Give me a second while I switch to the HDMI. Here, install.
I have $5 Canadian. Okay. Is this off?
What do I do with that?
What?
What do I do with that?
My money? What do you do with my money? No, this is, they told me not to say this, but I want this to be a competition. Each one of you submitted something, some sequence of strings, and I want us to treat this as a competition. Who had the coolest sequence of strings that generated something? Whoever we think so, I will give $5 Canadian to.
So I didn't have time to go through everyone's prompts. You guys were very great. Thank you so much. You gave so many prompts. I could only do a few. It takes about 5 minutes to generate 9 images. So not too fast, not too slow. But so here are the results I did do. So what we have, the first one I was able to do, I made a little an Animal Crossing one. So, oh, 1 second. Oh, that's right, I did.
All right.
So this is what it draws if you just say Animal Crossing.
Was that their only prompt?
That was it.
That's the only thing.
It was
Who did this?
Yo, yeah. So this is what Stable Diffusion with waifu 1-3 weights thinks Animal Crossing looks like. This is all supposed to be anime style. So the next thing we did here was 1 second. We have a thank you. That'd be great. So we have a we have a boy detective. There we go. So these are all the ones that generated from Boy Detective. Its entire prompt was detective, boy, red hair, mafia, night, short, hat. I see a hat. I don't know if I'd say he's short, but it's definitely nighttime. Feels kind of mafioso. I'd say it did pretty well. Except that bottom right, that feels like a girl to me. But maybe it's an Astolfo situation. I don't know. Can't assume. The other one I was able to do in the time allotted to me was Girl Kauai Beach Summer. Asked and answered. That's a girl, Kauai Beach in the summer, not on the summer. Oh wait. Oh yeah.
What is going on with that?
Look, it's not perfect.
Actually, I don't know if you want to claim ownership to this string. I'm not forcing anyone to do it, but I would like to know if this met your expectations. Is this what you imagined? Is this what you wanted?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
There we go. We delivered. We did it.
Your favorite one?
And that? What's my favorite one?
No, what's her favorite?
What's your favorite one?
I like middle left.
Which one?
Not middle left.
Not middle left. We do like good arms.
You have a choice.
Top middle or top right?
Top middle.
Top middle or top right. Those are good. Those are cute. Those are kawaii, as requested.
What about
the top right though? It's got like a sandbar like immediately. I don't know if the beach works like that. But
What about the previous one?
the previous one?
Yeah, this
So,
someone
Boy
want to take
Detective?
ownership for generating this one.
Who put in the boy detective? Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, look at his hand.
Which is your favorite?
Middle, top.
Bottom middle.
Bottom
That's your
middle.
favorite? Ooh, that one's pretty good.
You know, this is like a psychology test because it says a lot about the person by what they like. It's like a dark vibe, a cool guy, doesn't show his eyes. I like to see it.
Yeah, that was good. The last one I was able to do with the time allotted was what did we say here? We said cute, construction, and hazard. So let's take a look at what that generated. So here we'll do that. So that's construction for sure. Yep. Oh, I don't know what that sign means. Something bad. I feel like I'm collecting Slenderman pages. Okay. Yeah, this is, it really focused on construction, huh? I guess, well, these are kind of like the hazards, right? Maybe that's what the guy got hazard and make the signs. Oh, this is just like lumber. Yeah.
Oh, that's a hazard.
That's a hazard. Yeah. So, yeah, those are what I was able to do in the time I had. But this is kind of what, by the way, if you want to go home tonight and check out our GitHub and get the stuff set up on your own machine, yeah.
We still have a lot of time, so this is what I think. Maybe you can generate one of these or a couple of these.
Sure.
And I will query you all for.
Well, wait, do you have anything more in the presentation, or was that it? I think
That was the end of the presentation.
Okay.
But you know, I can query you all for what you want to see specifically. So I want this one. You're gonna do that one. All right, that one right there.
You want me to hide my screen so they don't see it?
Yeah, don't let them see anything because they don't deserve it. All right, you see the one that starts with a P.
Yeah, let me write it down first, though.
Okay.
I can just take a stab.
Yeah, take my phone. So now I'm going to display a beautiful tactic that each and every one of you is going to have to demonstrate in your lifetime. It's called stalling. Okay? So the reason I'm good at this is because, you know, most people when they are, yes.
I have a question. Like,
Okay.
Big question instead.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Did we mention it's our first panel?
Go ahead.
Source installing.
How does all this work with like copyright stuff? Like, is this copyright material once it's produced, or is it still just ambiguous nothingness that you can then use in published material?
So, you wanna go?
I just was gonna say that's a good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. So as far as I'm aware, the weights have no copyright attached to them, so they're freely available. They're like FOSS things. They have a license that basically permits, unless you're like trying to sell. I don't check because I never sell anything because I'm a poor PhD student. But like if you want to use the stuff and sell it,
What about your feet pics then?
no, well we don't. I mean, I could put my handle at the end, but no. So like, if you want to like, so it's all these licenses. So like, the way you can use this stuff, if it's for like personal use or just like for fun, you're allowed to use it, redistribute it, like pass it along. Basically, every license allows stuff like that. It's like a legal thing, but for the most part, what's up, Molly?
I think the question was about the actual art that comes out.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
the
so
output.
I don't know in terms of like how selling it works. I'm sure you can
I
find.
think you could sell it.
Yeah, I feel like you can definitely find a set of weights that would allow you to sell it.
All art is derivative.
All art is derivative, but yeah, the lawyers have something to say about that too.
Yeah, I think that's
I know in
actually.
the music industry they use this to copyright every melody known to man. So I know
Really?
Yeah, some dude copyrighted literally it was like 2 gigabytes is every note variation ever created so that people could copyright it. So if that has any inclination about
Yeah.
what's coming next, it's coming.
So I will say I know that using these sort of algorithms, people have won like art competitions. I know it was like a big story that like someone used Dolly to do something and won like an art competition and got money, and like the ethics of that are questionable. And it's a great thing to. I think this is a great time for me to plug that, guys. The world is messy, laws are messy, and if we want the things to go the right way, you got to be part of the conversation. Make your voices heard. How you feel about these things, everyone gets a voice. You know, go. And by the way, big
vote.
election in November. Vote. The world is it's decided by us. Luckily, in a democracy. So yeah, I mean, but like seriously, this does raise a lot of serious ethical questions.
But there have been there have now, as of a few months ago at least, been successful copyrights of AI generated art.
Yes.
As a stand now, based on an anime, that might be a trickier situation, but in general, there's some precedent there.
Yeah, I will just say the standard thing people say on Reddit: not legal advice. We're not lawyers. But yeah, like seriously, it's really cool stuff, and it's like it's very new, so the laws will be figured out and stuff. So this is a great time. If you have opinions, voice them. Vote accordingly, because like as new technology develops, it gets regulated, and you want it to be regulated the way that you think it should be. So yeah.
Yeah, that guy put up his hand first. Yeah. Yep. You have a question?
Yeah, so Stable Diffusion, does it run on the GPU? Like, what would make it generate faster?
GPU. Yeah, GPUs make them run faster. You can run Stable Diffusion just CPU mode only with this toolbox. It's very slow, but you can do it. So if you don't have access to like a decent GPU, that's not a bottleneck for this. So this is what was the prompt again? It was plants, cute, water, flowers, colorful, leaves. Here's one. I only generated 4 for 3 for time's sake.
Yeah, you're not even.
Here's another one. Wow. This is, man, I feel like serene just looking at this.
Yeah.
All right, stall while I get the next prompt.
Yeah.
I think he had a question.
Yeah, I mean, this guy over there was up for a long time.
What's the size of the training data that like Dolly or Stable Diffusion is?
Like terabytes, I think. It might even reach like petabytes. I don't remember. Like there's a lot of training data to get the weights. Waifu diffusion is a lot smaller, but Waifu diffusion was like I think it was fine-tuned trained for just like the Stable Diffusion weights. So like terabytes to petabytes of information were used to train some weights, and then they were slightly tuned for anime style, using a lot less.
Yep.
I think a lot of people have a misconception that the training data is spat out of Stable Diffusion. Like when you put in a prompt, it just takes pieces of the training data that was used and then stitches it together like Frankenstein, but it doesn't actually do that, does it?
No, it does not. Yeah, I don't know how to elaborate on that, but it does not. Yeah, like you're very correct in your understanding.
Because people think that it's reusing copyrighted works that may have been in the training data, but it's not.
Yeah, it's generating entirely new images. It is not just like, it doesn't just have like a database of pictures that exist and like choose one. Like these are, it looked at a bunch of pictures and tried to learn, oh, this is how people draw. Like this is what art looks like. This is what these things look like. And then it effectively does what it does something similar to like a human artist. It knows what that thing looks like, so it tries to make it. Like I said, it works from like a random noise and then slowly tries to like chisel out an image from that, sort of like sculpting.
You got a question?
So I have a little bit of I don't know if it's ethics discussion, but do y'all think AI generated art is art, like in general?
I think it's art.
So for me, it's like I think in all of art.
What happened?
We want to talk about this first.
No, you.
I feel like the modern art and everything else has been developed in such a way such that like if you have some sort of emotional attachment to it, if you can enjoy it in some way, then it's art. So like modern art, where someone just sticks a banana onto a wall and uses duct tape, and then people perceive that art. I don't care. Like people perceive it as art. So if people are enjoying AI generated art, in my mind at least, I think it's in a similar vein. Yeah.
What an eloquent response.
I feel like it's art. I feel like anything that makes people feel any way is art. This is girl, scary, popsicle, coffee. Bottom left is pretty dope.
So you had a question earlier. Was it already answered?
No, I wanted to just make a comment about
Sure.
the GPU idea. So if you don't have a powerful enough computer to run this, you can rent GPUs online on like runpods.com is one site, and for like $1, you can train a model, or you can execute it to run things. If you need like that power of a GPU, but you don't have access to a powerful computer.
Yeah, and then to add on that, like Google Colab hosted by Google, it's like free access to GPUs. I mean, I hate Google Colab, but it does democratize access to GPUs in general. Question?
I don't know if Stable Diffusion does this, but I know that some like Midjourney and some of the other like online ones, they censor what words you can put into generation, for reasons that may or may not be obvious. Do you think that that's ethical? Because there could be a way where you can generate, like, there could be a future where it's like, oh, you can generate words that have like Tiananmen Square in it, for example. Like, do you think the censoring of certain keywords is ethical when it comes to AI art? Sorry, that was.
It's all right. I like philosophy. At the end of the day,
I can answer this from a technical perspective.
Technical perspective.
Yeah, because so in general, when you're generating like the way these models work is through a text embedding, and you integrate the text embedding with image embeddings, and that's how you generate the final image. The text embeddings are generated from a set vocabulary. So from a technical perspective, you can't cover every single word. But from an ethical perspective,
Ethical perspective. So you're saying that if these words existed, it's because I already chose to include them in there.
Like Bert has a set vocabulary, for example.
Yeah. So actually, that's I missed the question. I'm sorry, but actually, you guys finish talking about it, and then I'll say my thing.
So there was a paper recently, not recently, a few years ago, but basically said ImageNet. ImageNet is a huge database with 1 million images in it. It basically said that ImageNet had categories that were racist, that were sexist, that had all these different things, and the authors of ImageNet decided to take it down and have basically prune it until it got rid of all these categories that were considered like unethical in some sense. Now I feel like part of research in this topic is like the bias that these models have. So if you have these categories that sort of have ethical violations in it, the question is, are you leading a model to bias towards ethical violations in the first place? Are you leading to ethical violations in the form of like, all right, is it going to consider black people or African American people not as human beings, for example, as one form of bias, or this other group is considered good when it's not, and you can imagine what I'm talking about when I'm saying that. So in that sense, if you are starting to integrate these technologies into society itself, then in some sense you have to follow the rules of society too, or else it just becomes another weapon by which you can kind of cause differences between people. Now in art, I don't know really, is the Nazi flag art, if you think about it like that? Is flags supporting these industries, is it art? Is it art because it stands for something that causes an emotional response for people? So I think that's the framework I look at it. But again, very, very complicated question. You know, this panel has been very interesting. It started with a lot of laughs, and now we've gone very deep into our fields.
Short answer, the world is complicated, and to make things work correctly, like, it's no secret that our world is pretty fucked. Like, we got a lot of things that can be fixed, and the only way that's going to get fixed is if people that care about the things, like, make their voices heard. So,
Election day is
November 8th. I really want people to vote.
Early voting has already started.
Atlanta is Georgia is a swing state this year. Anyway, here's Zorro. Nothing happened. Thriller bark.
Nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. Pretty cool. So here's the other thing I want to talk about. I forgot to actually talk about this. There's another thing you can use. So like something that I tried to do was make like a comic strip or like a manga strip just using Stable Diffusion. It's a little too rough for that right now. I wouldn't be surprised if in like a couple months to a year's time you could do it. I know some people have had very little success with Midjourney, but the key issue is that you can generate images one at a time, but to like persist a character through like multiple images is hard. Yeah, because every time it's just starting with like new noise and it's trying to like chisel that marble, and it's like it's hard for it to like consistently chisel the same face out, you know, every time.
Dream Booth?
Huh?
Dream Booth?
Dream Booth, yeah, that's one solution. I didn't get too far into that. I just ran out of time. But yeah, Dream Booth is one thing. But the more general field that Dream Booth is one possible solution of what is called textual inversion. Actually, I think Dream Booth is a little different than just textual inversion, but like the general concept of textual inversion is that certain words mean specific things. So like Nicolas Cage means Nicolas Cage. Like, so that you can persist these like characters or like very specific like pencil building or something. Like you can persist very specific designs in different prompts. So I actually have a couple embeddings set up here. Some are style embeddings, some are character embeddings. But they're both like textual inversions. They basically just define words so you can use the same thing multiple times. So the ones I have are written here. Not all of them are for Waifu 1.3, but they kind of work for both Waifu 1.2 and 1.3. The ones that work pretty well are like Lucy Cyberpunk. So I'll just like do that real quick and generate one. If you just specify that, it will generate like a Lucy picture. Come on.
The character.
Yep. So I'm just going to generate one real quick, but the other ones I've got are, I've got Anya Forger. I should have done that one. She's popular. I've got a bunch of stuff. Usada Pecora, Runya Cham, Captain Haddock from Tintin. Yeah, I got a couple. Oh, JoJo Stand is like a fun style too. You can actually, yeah. So okay, so this is what it like. This is not. It's obviously not exactly Lucy, but like, it's pretty close to Lucy, right? I mean, it's got a lot of her qualities. So it went a little hard on the rainbow hair, I would say. And but yeah, so you can use embeddings. Like I could do Lucy Cyberpunk as a JoJo stand. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Just gonna roll once. Hope it rolls good.
I don't know what you mean when you say JoJo stand. I see you just generating a bunch of people in awkward poses, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
People awkward, but like lots of segments in the body.
You got it.
Like,
What?
You pretty much got it.
I got it?
Yeah, pretty close.
so let's see.
That's on brand.
I don't know if that's a JoJo stand, but.
Failed successfully.
We'll try again. But yeah, so if you guys want to play with this at home, this is like, I think this little, this is called the Stable Diffusion Web UI. It's like a really nice tool. You can do a lot of other cool stuff. So actually, let me I'll finish this, and then I'll do one last thing. So there's like, yeah, okay. So it's still not really a JoJo stand, but so there's also other functionalities here. There's like image to image. So for example, I can take. I don't like my vaccine card. I can take. This ain't it. Oh, I gotta go back here. I have too many files. Okay, so like here's something I tried once. I took this. This is a, so now I'm gonna say person holding an ice cream cone on a sunny day, and I'm gonna tell it to make that. And it's gonna take my sketch and use that as like the source noise, and it's gonna try to generate a good picture
That's
of my.
the diffuser.
my
Like
stuff.
that's going into the diffuser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More or
It
less.
chisels that out.
Yep.
Yes.
So it should look similar to this, hopefully. It might, sometimes it just completely gets it wrong, but you know, it's done better. So I actually have another one. I have a better version of this. So if I can look at it. So let me do. So this is like my source image, and then I did this to make it a little more specific. This is what it generated. So it took this and turned it into this. Well, this was, don't worry about that. Wasn't the original. That was the original. So like, it's red hair, didn't quite get the eyes. The ice cream cone's pretty good, but the hands become like one hand, like one big hand made from two arms. And then I tried to get it to fall, and it did that. So like, you can kind of get some cool stuff with that. There's also in painting. So I can say, for instance, if I take like, okay, so let's take this one, right? Let's say I don't actually like her eyes. I can like color out the eyes.
I feel like you're about to make something terrible.
I'll say like, let's say I want green eyes. I'm just gonna like add that, and I'm gonna like, what were they originally? They were red, I think, or red. I'm just gonna, so in the negative prompt, I'm gonna say red eyes and blue eyes. So I'm saying like, I don't want red eyes or blue eyes. And then if we try that, it's only going to replace the parts I colored in. So it's gonna keep the rest of the image the same. So you can like tweak your images this way, which is really cool. And then, so this is called in painting. There's also out painting. Yeah, it's
Oh,
not.
you know me.
Yeah. Well, if you got one green eye, maybe I could add a little eye patch in post.
Highlight the hands and say
Better hands, yeah. So that's called in painting. You can do that yourself at home. And there's also out painting. So if you get like a really good image and you're like, like crap, like this image is great, but it's like I made it too small, and it's like sometimes you get like a great, like I got a great JoJo stand, and like his face was cut off, and I was like, I want to see that face. There's something called out painting, where you can take the original image. I'm not going to do it here because it takes a little bit longer to get it good. But you take out painting, it takes the original image, and you just say, I want it bigger, and like just keep drawing what it should be. And like if you give it the prompt of what it like his original prompt, it'll do phenomenal. Like it'll basically just continue it. It's great. It takes longer to run though, but like out painting is another thing you can do. There's lots of little tools in this toolbox. It's like a. I played many hours with this. There's tons of different modes to generate too. You can play with them all. I think Euler A, the default, is actually really good.
Yeah. You have a question?
Which software is this?
This is called the Stable Diffusion Web UI. You can find it at on our GitHub under the character, or maybe we renamed it to Art Generation. It's called Stable Diffusion Web UI. Yep. Everything here, by the way, go to our GitHub. We have a bunch of links. You can find everything on them.
And then I think you had a question earlier, right? Yeah.
Yeah. What was the in your slides? What was the first thing you guys were talking about? I know there's
Style transfer?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you think in the future, if we work on this, there'll be the ability to take live action movies and then basically make anime versions of them by running their frames through a converter?
I think people are trying that. I feel like that's been.
Oh, is that?
It's difficult because every frame you'd have to run, so the processing power would be huge. But I do see that as a real possibility. I don't know if it looked good enough, but I do see like research actively working on it. Whether it will get there, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting avenue.
I feel like I would be very surprised if no one has tried it already.
Yeah.
I just don't know about it.
I've seen that for a
They
Witcher.
probably generated videos. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see also. So did we?
But
Oh, yeah, we
hang
can-
on some images.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
by the way, this is our final slide. Character generation tools. So if you want to just generate characters, I think the Stable Diffusion Web UI is good for like generic art generation. But if you want to just generate characters.